back again. In this presentation, I'm going to present unit number 4 and 5. Remember that the content of this module is not that much. Hence, it will be very simple for you to understand it. Remember that the module is teaching English for communication. And the module code is ENC1501. And I'm still reminding you students to say that please submit assessment as soon as possible. There will be no extension of the assignments. Right. In this presentation, I'm going to look at the introduction, the skills for engaging with text, and engaging with text in a critical manner, and the writing process, and the Bloom taxonomy. And I just want to reiterate again, when you study unit number 4, you must study it in relation to other units that you have listened to. Now, the introduction, one of the main tasks teachers have is to plan a lesson. I have already told you that the main thing that we are trying to do here as an institution is to train you to be a better teacher, an excellent one. So one of the responsibilities that you have to bear in mind is that you have to plan a lesson in a way that you understand it. Number 2, you have to gather information on the topic so as to present valid information. In other words, when you are done with your lesson, you must be quite certain that this is the valid information that I've given to my learners. Right. Now, this unit is entitled Textual Analysis. All right, let's look at the skills for engaging with text. Remember, we are training you to be a teacher, and again, to be a better academic. Whenever you choose to go in various institutions, it must be seen that you have been trained at UNISA. Hence, we are saying that we have to develop your skills on how to engage with text. The first thing is the ability to engage with text in a critical manner. It's either when you are writing assignments, when you are doing presentation, but as for me, as your lecturer, is when you are writing assignment or assessments. Number 2 is to develop to develop how you are going to question. As I will be continuing presenting this lesson, we will also show you the Bloom taxonomy, which is very important. So questioning is important when you are busy with a text. Right, so engaging with text in a critical manner. This is done by studying the language techniques used. Remember that we have touched some of the issues concerning language usage. To convey the themes and reading the text for meaning in order to understand the themes is very important. That is when we are talking about engaging with text in a critical manner. Number two, we need to question a text for us to get depth knowledge. It's very important. So as a teacher, remember that when you go there or when you go for practicals, some learners are very smart. They will ask you questions. And don't get angry and to say that, why are you asking me those questions? And you start to change your attitudes. Try to deal with those questions, because the person who asks you question, she needs or he needs to understand more. So we need to evaluate the information in text to decide what is relevant to our interpretation. Right? Now, the writing process. This one, I just want you to actually follow what you have to do when you are writing. I guess that by now you start to understand that these units they work together. We've got the first one is to define the topic and its aspects, and if you still remember, is that when you prepare your lesson preparation, you must also define the topic. Number two, study sources and do research. People nowadays are lazy. They don't need to do research. Google, get some information, acknowledge those information. Number two, as a teacher, you have to actually equip yourself in that manner. Number three, select significant and relevant information. You don't just Google and then you bombard us with those irrelevant information. And hence, when we give you lower marks, you start to complain. And when you go through what you have written, you find that most of the information are irrelevant. So I'm encouraging you to actually select those information which are important, which are related to the topic and relevant to what you want to put forward. Number four, study, and you must analyze, synthesize, and interpret the information using your own ways. My students, this is what excites the online exams. Even if you can gather lots and lots of materials, you need to interpret. You need to use your own words when writing. No need for actually copying and do all sorts of things. Use your own interpretation. Give us the examples, and we will appreciate those examples that you have experienced. They have a meaning. So you actually, when you are writing, please bear this in mind. You study, you analyze, and when you analyze, you also come up with the advantages and the disadvantages, and then you interpret those in what you are writing. And then at the end of the day, you will come up with the conclusion, a very good conclusion. You have to present and the insightful and then the critical text, so that at the end of the day, when we read it, we become excited of what you have written. So please follow this format, the writing process. Define the topic, what you are writing. I'm emphasizing this one because I want to enjoy what you shall have written. and study sources and do research. Please use Google Scholar. You can just Google, and then as long as that information is related to what you are saying, you are actually saying or writing. And don't be afraid to study and to analyze, to think, to interpret. Don't think that we are going to judge you for that. No, this is what we want. Because at the end of the day, when you go to the field of work, then you will have to apply your knowledge. Right. I talked about Bloom's taxonomy. Very important. We are bringing this taxonomy, Bloom taxonomy, on the space because we realize that they are different. Learners are different. They are not the same. And even and if you can check even your assignment, written assignment, you will find that now I've tried to adhere to this Bloom taxonomy, which has 3 or 6 levels. The level 1 is about remember. You ask questions that learners will just remember. For example, you name 3 types of whatever, list or identify or draw. These are kind of level 1. Then level 2, then you look at explain, relate, describe, merge, confirm, and all those things. That is when you try to measure the whether your student really understand what you have presented in your class. Now, level 3 is application. So those are the verbs that you can use in your class, and try to do that when you go for practicals. Modify, build, solve, and such things. Then you can use those verbs to test whether your student can apply, and then to analyze. Then you use those verbs. For example, differentiate, examine, and those, and etc. And then evaluate, and the last one is create. So coming back to our assessments, all those 5 assessments, we are trying to actually ask you based on the Bloom taxonomy. You find that some of the students will just send you a message and say that, no, this question is too difficult. Whereas you ask them a question where they have to create, where we say that you plan a lesson. So some of them will just go to the CAPS document and copy that kind of a lesson. Then when we say that you have to create, in other words, you do it according to your understanding. You don't need to cut and paste. That is not allowed. So that's why, hence, I said that I want to enjoy your written assignment and assessments, looking at this Bloom taxonomy. Secondly, when we use this Bloom taxonomy, we are trying to cover the context that the content that we have presented to you as our student. That's why we will also use this Bloom taxonomy, as I've already mentioned, that we are also trying to cover different types of students, because you are not the same. There are those who excel much on creativity and others on analyzing. So, but at the end of the day, the final product as UNISA, we want students who are creative and who can actually evaluate, not just take things as is, but who can evaluate and come up with their conclusion. This part is also very important because you will use it in your class every day. It doesn't mean that they have to, you have to give them tests so to adhere to this Bloom taxonomy. No. Even when you are teaching them, then at the end of each lesson, apply this kind of taxonomy. Now, let's quickly go to Unit 5, which is understanding the reading process and choosing appropriate children's literature. Looking at this unit number 5, I'm quite aware, and I'm just taking it for granted that you are also quite aware that there is a unit which there is a module which deals with these reading processes. So hence, what I'm going to do here is just to summarize this unit. It's very, very important. Maybe before I continue with this unit, there is a study and there is a problem in the foundation phase. And the problem that is there is all about writing and also about reading. In my first presentation, I've made mention that the recent result that have been put forward is that 82% of learners cannot read. And this is very concerning. So in this unit, I will also look at the aspects of reading, though it will be just a brief, reading strategies and motivation of learners. Now, the 5 main aspects of reading, these are very important. Students, bear in mind of these 5 aspects of reading. They have to be implemented in the foundation phase. When learners graduate to the intercent or intermediate phase, they should have mastered all these 5 aspects. Very, very important. You are going to look at the phonemic knowledge. There I said that, for example, a letter or group of letters. I'm doing research on that, and what I've realized is that the grade 2 teachers, some of the grade 2 teachers are complaining of the learners who cannot even identify or recognize the alphabetic letters. It's very concerning. That's why I'm saying that look at this, very, very important. Number 2, word recognition. Please just go and look around that, because I don't want to go into detail, because I will take, maybe we can take 3 hours when looking at this important aspect of reading. As you start with a word, and then with the letter, then you build a word. Then they must be able to recognize what that particular word. Number 3 is fluency. Once a learner can recognize a word, then when he reads or she reads, then she will read fluently. And the number 4 is vocabulary, and I will mix it with the comprehension. We must understand this. When we say that we have a challenge of learners who cannot read, we are saying, yes, they can see those words. Yes, yes, they can maybe read those words, but then they don't comprehend or understand what they are reading. Hence, we said that learners cannot read. There is this type of reading, accidental reading, which is very much exciting. Then when accidental reading is when maybe you are driving or you are in the shopping mall, your child just say that she said that, oh, Kentucky, she identified the word Kentucky, or she identified the word maybe a beggar or whatever. By doing that, that particular child is reading. It is just because it is not formal, but that particular child is reading. So if we can encourage that, and then we move around with our learners, we go in those trips or whatever that is being organized at school, and then you do accidental reading, I'm telling you, at least they will comprehend what they are reading. And of course, it is also based on the environment that you find yourself in. Steps to reading and understanding a text. Then you have to look at the decoding of words, comprehension, and responses. I bring this in here because previously there was a question which demands learners or a student to actually discuss about these three steps, and they find themselves mixing it with the previous topic that I was talking about. So I just want to make sure that you understand this. Now, there is the 5-point reading strategies. These have been confirmed by our Department of Basic Education to say that you go there, you implement this kind of reading strategies to your learners. Remember that we have got three types of reading strategies. The first one is the interrelated types of approaches. The second one is the bottom-up reading strategies, and then the last one is the top-down reading strategies. And as a foundation phase teachers, I encourage you to use the bottom-up reading strategies. Hence, these are some of the bottom-up reading strategies. As a foundation phase teachers, you have to look at the reading aloud. Here you are in class, having 60 learners in one class. And what you have to do, you have to read aloud with your learners. But I just want to warn you beforehand. You may find that maybe half of the class are not looking at what you are reading. They are just singing. They're just doing whatever they are doing. So you must be vigilant when it comes to reading aloud. Number 2, we have shared reading. Teachers and learners read together. And the department also wants you to exercise this one. But what I can advise you is that when you go to your field, choose the reading strategy which is relevant to your learners. Then we have shared reading. Then if you feel that shared reading is relevant, then we invite you to use the shared reading. If reading aloud, you find that now it's working for you, go for it. Then the third one is group reading, where you group your learners and in different groups. And in a class where you find that there are 60 learners or 50-something learners in your class, and you realize that grouping learners is not practical, then you can opt for another type of reading strategy. And then we have buddy reading, where you pair your learners with another. Normally here, I heard people say that you pair those learners who can read with those who cannot read. And some also dispute that one, to say that you just pair learners, because the learners who can read can also learn some skills from the learners who cannot read. I'm not sure about that one, but these are the reading strategies that you have to actually implement in your class. The independent reading, then where learners can read on their own. So beside these ones, there are reading strategies that have been found by researchers, and I invite you to, when you have time, you can just go and Google and then look for those reading strategies that you can use, whereby in those well-developed schools, they can also use computers. And computers can also assist our learners to read, which is very important too. Now, let's come to motivating of our learners to read. Teachers should ensure that the prescribed readers or academic reading materials are read on a regular basis. Because here we are talking about the reading, improving the reading proficiencies of the learners. Unfortunately, in our schools, the reading resources are very limited. I know that in a foundation phase, you teach using mother tongue, and sometimes you find that now the shortage of reading resources in your mother tongue. But try to actually come up with some creative ideas on how can you develop your own reading materials. It is very much possible. I was in one of those schools, visiting one of those schools in a rural areas, and they are very creative. Hence, you can also be creative. So teachers should ensure that the prescribed readers are actually used. And if they are not relevant, then you can come up with your own resources just to assist your learners. And learners must also be discouraged to actually read only one genre of in your class, maybe a popular one or whatever. Then encourage them to read various types of genre in your class. But this can be done if you also become a reader. If you are not a reader, then obviously your learners won't be able to actually read as much as you want them to read. So my students, what I want you to do, and remember, this module, don't try to memorize, just understand. Go to your classes, implement what you have learned in this module. And when you are answering those questions, try to bring in the examples that you have experienced out there, because what I want you to become is to be a creative and effective teacher, trained from our institution. So thank you very much. And I just want to remind you, please, you are not going to sit for examination in this module. You submit 4 assignments. and make sure that in each assignment you get above 50. If assignment 2 or 3 or 4, you get below 40, consider to submit assignment number 5. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Thank you.